decision back in the fall of 2011 on whether to spin this out of Stanford, we had significant conversations with Stanford administration, including President John Hennessy, who has been both an academic for most of his life as well as a successful entrepreneur. And he basically said, speaking specifically to the technology piece and not to the content piece, I just want to make sure we're clear on that, that he just doesn't think it's possible for an academic institution to compete with the private sector on technology development. And he encouraged us to spin this out of Stanford. We actually tried. We did this technology development effort initially within Stanford, and it was what launched those, at least 2 of those 3 online classes that came out in the fall. And I can tell you it was really hard. So some of the little trials and tribulations, it takes 3 months to get a job ad approved for for dissemination before you can hire somebody. You pay 60% of market rate, which is what the university allows you to pay. When you hire an engineer at 60% of market rate, you get an engineer who's at the 60th percentile. And anyone who has worked in the private sector will tell you that when you're talking about software development, that's not a factor of 10 in productivity, that's a factor of 1,000 in productivity between the 60th percentile engineer and the 99th percentile engineer. And then if they don't work out for you, that engineer that you hired at the 60th percentile, you can't ever fire them. The most you can do is foist them off on somebody else at your organization. It's not a sustainable way to do high-end software development. You can't incentivize, you can't hire the right people, you can't incentivize them properly. And when I'm saying this, I'm quoting somebody who's had experience in both. I'm quoting President John Hennessy, who basically encouraged us to take this and make this a private sector effort, again, focused on technological development, not content development, because we do not do content development. That's not our expertise. That's where we come to great institutions like the ones that we have in the state of California and say, we have a platform that empowers you to make this happen. Please go and put your content, your academic standards up on this so that you can reach more students. As Sebastian said, the megaphone.
Sebastian, you want to say anything, or did Ms. Kohler get it all right?
Amen.
Okay. And then my final is sort of look into the future, you know, sort of, if you do this and sort of give me your sort of short answer. Can you see a period in time where a certificate from Coursera or Udacity is the equivalent of a degree from UCLA?
Not our intention. I can see a time where the degree doesn't matter anymore, but it's a different story. But we're not seeking accreditation right now. We're not building up our own teaching staff. We really want to work with existing institutions because, look, you guys have...
Yeah, I understand it, but I just mean the combination of talent that you can amalgamate into a major package over a 4-year period that somebody would take, and somebody look at that and say, like you just described with what Google looks at with the classes that you provide for them versus what they might get somewhere else.
I do see a time where the degree and the accreditation matters much less, and that's actually happening right now. I'll give you some data points. There's been now a whole bunch of free classes that are being taught and that are being pooled together, and there's startup companies that provide credentialing for individuals that say, you put your record together and we work as hard as we can to make this look good to employers. I've seen employers who say they never look at degrees at all. They only look at coding samples, at examples of work, very much the way you hire a designer. And these things are small right now, but as this field changes, if the accreditation system isn't able to adjust to the needs of the populations and the companies, I think there's a chance they might actually fall behind, and other measures of success might prevail. And it's a big unknown. It's logical that would happen because we have